Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of Signals from Mars. I am joined by the Akron, Ohio band Radian, who is about to release the album Subterfuge. They're nice enough to wait for me to connect here tonight, so I appreciate you guys definitely for spending a little bit extra time here, more than you should have to. But how are you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
How are you doing?
Good, good. Just came home from a crushing defeat in a basketball game, but that's fine. We'll live with that.
It happens.
Yes, unfortunately. But anyway, right off the bat, you guys are releasing this on your own label. What are the advantages of working with your own label as opposed to working with a big or even a small size label to release your album?
I would say that there's advantages as much as there's disadvantages.
Okay.
But it gives us more freedom, to do whatever it is that we want, but that comes at our expense. So that's kind of
Okay.
a disadvantage. But
Mhm.
if you want it, if you want it good enough, or if you want it bad enough, you're going to make it happen, right?
Sure.
And I got a note too that this specific release is actually a collaboration between our own label and Third House Communications, which is a small indie label based out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
So it is kind of a collaboration with another small little label,
Okay.
But it's a cool family, a cool community down there, and they're really great people, and we're really grateful to be part of that community. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because I've heard other bands that are within the, stoner or doom metal part of the hard rock and heavy metal world that have ventured out on like bigger labels and have come back to a smaller label feeling that although it was great to be on a bigger label, they just didn't serve the band the way that they really wanted the label to. In the sense that they didn't get, I don't know if a boutique feel is the right way of saying it, or maybe not even that, but somebody who knows exactly what the genre is about or what the subgenre is about, as opposed to just pumping artists out.
Right. I mean, it's not like what we do is like a big ticket item, like, metalcore or something that's really huge right now. I, I,
Right.
I think that's metalcore. I think like, um, bands that are like really huge. What is that band where the dude's gonna do an MMA fight while he performs?
Slaughter to Prevail.
Slaughter to Prevail. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
is that a metalcore band? I'm
Yeah, I
not
think
sure.
that's
Deathcore.
deathcore. That's even, an even deeper subgenre there. We're so splintered within the
Yeah.
metal community that there's a different core sprouting up every day. So
Well, that appears, to my knowledge, that appears to be a hot ticket item right
yeah,
now is deathcore. I recently purchased a vehicle and it came with a Sirius satellite
right.
free prescription or subscription. So I've been listening to liquid metal, and that's all I hear is this stuff. And I was like, man, these bands are solid, but they all sound the same. And then I was
Mhm.
like, well, somebody probably says that about our genre too, So
Yeah, I hear you.
but they seem to be doing really well, and it seems to be a high ticket item at this day and age. 25, 26, the bands like that are on fire, man, and good for them. That's
Yeah.
that. I'm sure everybody puts in work. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, at least from my perspective, you have to respect what other bands do, and if that works for them, then so be it. I mean, you guys just have to keep doing what you feel is right for your band.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so you had a bunch of member changes between Discordian and Subterfuge. Um, how necessary was that for the band to move forward, and how challenging was it to find the right pieces to move forward?
It was essential for the band to move forward to where we're at now. And I'm going to let Derek answer the rest of that question for you.
um, Well, essential in the fact that, you know, some of the former members, we just couldn't do as much based off, you know, just life schedules and circumstances and stuff. So as far as like getting out there and doing more, finding the right people for that, but so that was essential. But for the sound to evolve, it became essential to find this group of people, and it's really allowed Radian to expand on the original idea, you know, bringing in fresh minds and just and different styles of playing, and it's forced us to stay within the framework of what Radian is, but also allow it to kind of expand on its own. It's been a really kind of awesome journey.
Yeah, on like some turbulence along the way, and you know, we weren't sure what was gonna happen, and it all just kind of came out just beautiful.
Okay. And what do you feel the biggest impact that you guys have felt with the inclusion of the two new members?
I mean, probably like the vocals, like Corey. I mean, he it you can't even compare the two people, like the previous singer
Mhm,
and the current singer. They're just two totally different things. You
mhm,
know what I'm saying? And I don't want to say that, like, you know, the other guy is not good at this or not good at that, and Corey's not good at this and not good at that. That's not the case here. The case is that they're just two totally different things. And what Corey brought to the table with us just seemed to really work and really vibe and mesh it very well and help project us forward. You know, that's my opinion on it. You know.
okay. Was there a moment, when you were trying different people out that all of a sudden just Corey just kinda stood out to you? There was like an, "Oh shit" moment. This is what we need.
I mean, yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, I Yes, I would say yes, and I would also say that, like, you know, Corey and Derek have been doing bands previously. So when Derek recommended that we bring Corey into the mix, they had already been in bands, a few bands together, and worked together, and he already knew like
Okay.
what he was capable of doing. But like I didn't know Corey at the time. I just had to take, you know, Derek's word for it, and you know, and I trust him and I value his opinion. So if he says this dude's gonna work, then I just take that, you know, take his word for it.
I was 100% confident that Corey was the guy. So it wasn't even a question in my mind. Like, oh, I got the guy. Perfect. I've been working with him for years. He's dedicated. He's got a good ear. He's good at writing. Like, yeah, he's good at singing. It's just, it wasn't even a question in my mind.
And with Carly, with her coming in, I mean, her it just kind of all just fell in place. She was like kind of the last little piece of the Tetris, so to
Mhm.
speak, that kind of
Right.
connected everything, you know. And there were other people that were, you know, trying to come and play bass in the band, and she just did a great job, like right off the rip. So there wasn't, and she was focused, and you could tell that she was working on the stuff. She earned her position in this band. You know, we didn't hand her anything. We just said, "Here's 7, 8 songs, learn them," and she did, and she's doing great. And yeah, everything just fell right in place.
Cool. And that's kind of a common theme with a lot of bands that I've interviewed lately, where the process of bringing new people in has kind of been through either past bands or bands that people have toured with, where they've more or less known what they were getting with that member. So it's interesting that, because at the end of the day, you're going to go out and tour with these people as well. You got to know what you're getting yourself into, as opposed to just saying, hey, let's load up in a van or whatever and just see what happens. There's
Oh,
got to be
yeah.
some assurances.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like a job too, to some
Yeah.
extent. Like if you're gonna you you don't want to be a plumber applying for a drywall job. So, you know, so when we entertain bringing someone in the band, it's your go-to would be someone that you previously worked with in a band or something
Yeah.
like that, because it worked and they know what's going on and they can kind of hit the ground running. You don't have to, show them everything, you know what I'm saying? So to
Yeah.
speak, I mean, we're willing to train, but to what extent, type of thing.
Right, right. I got you. So there's a story woven into Subterfuge. When did you guys decide to work on what a lot of people would consider a concept album?
I'll
It
let Corey.
was,
Yeah.
it was kind of just, I mean, it was something I was somewhat already working on, possibly for another project, because I had a dream one night that kind of inspired it. And, the band that I was considering applying it to just really wasn't that type of band. So I kind of put it on the back burner, as primitive as it was at the time. But when I got the offer from these guys, um, and I listened to the tracks, it really spoke to me in a more intricate way like that. That's something that deserves like a complex story like that. But also on the flip side, like I've spent most of my life just writing about real life and just running out of ways to say I hate people and stuff like that. So giving lending a concept to my lyrics really helped me discover more imagery and helped just really like push. I mean, that's really it. There is having imagery to really describe and make it so you can almost touch it. And so I just kind of hit the gas pedal on that, and it just kind of fleshed itself out as I was writing it from like the loose concept that I already had.
Okay. Did the lyrics come before the actual music? Did you had that concept from that dream, but did you listen to the music and then have it feed into what you were already writing, or did you have that already separate from the music?
So I had zero lyrics. All I had was that skeleton of a story, and they had already had the tracks recorded, like 90, all it needed was the vocals. So I immediately just started writing and did some very intensive like active listening and listened to what songs sounded like certain plot points to the concept, and that's kind of just where I started. And um, it just kind of unfolded from there. And like I said, I started with one song, and then other ones started, because like the first song I wrote was kind of in the middle of the concept, but it's because that first song I heard this part of the story in that song itself, and then other songs started writing around that, and then it all just kind of came together.
Okay. How much, I mean, you just mentioned that you've written about specific topics and different types of ways, but how much did 2026 or 2025 factor into this universe that you're creating with these lyrics?
So, I mean, at the end of the day, it is just a story. Obviously, there's influences from current events, but not limited to that. Obviously, there's history and history and history and history of civil unrest, and all of that's come into play as a as humankind, more than just like what's going on right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Um, there's obviously a huge difference in the sound and what you guys are doing on this album, with comparison to what you guys have done in the past. How purposeful was that when you were going into the album? Did you start writing already the material before you started working on the album, and then by adding the members you decided to take it to a different place, maybe to another level, or was everything already kind of worked out before working on the album itself?
Well, it goes so many different ways with that, but
Okay.
a few of the songs are old. Like I wrote those songs like years ago.
Okay.
And then there's a few songs that Derek and I wrote together. So it's a little bit meshed up as far as the material and when and where.
Okay.
But once we tracked everything, as far as the music, um, it was pretty set in stone. But then when Corey came in and did what he did on top of it, it brought a whole new atmosphere to it. It just immediately, it just changed everything, the way his delivery, and I'm sure that Derek has a few things to say about this question as well.
Okay.
I think over time it's like you're creating layers, and so some of the old songs are those initial foundations of it, and then you start layering in new parts and new songs, and then new members bring their take on it. And I mean, the bass tracks were written by a former bass player of ours, and then but they were tracked by a different bass player who added his spin on it, and then you know what I mean. So it's like we're starting to layer in now, and I think you can really feel that on the record. I think one big difference for me is, and I don't know if it was purposeful in the moment, but it started to become clear to me, at least, that we wanted to kind of play with a little more restraint, I guess, let things breathe to the point where like the heaviness is kind of like sitting within itself. Whereas like the other records sort of do that too. They dabble in that, but it's not fully expanded on. And there's a little more drive in a lot of those records, whereas here there's a lot of like there's more atmosphere kind of coming from underneath. And I think because of the layering, that's sort of started to just become natural and organic for the record. And it's really it let us allow the record to be what it wants to be rather than us trying to make the record be what we want it to be. And I think that was a cool approach.
Yeah, that we were actively trying to submit to the songs while working on writing this stuff. We were actively playing with restraint. We were actively doing less. We were, and once again, we were actively submitting to the song, whatever the song needed.
What it called for.
Yeah, or what it called for.
And it really gave the space for Corey to put in some really like just awesome layering of the vocals and the vocal approach. It gave him the space to do that, and bring all those ideas to the table.
Okay. The album also, to me, sonically sounds like it's at a different level from your previous releases. It sounds like a big budget album almost in the sense that it just sounds clearer than what you've done before. And it just, I don't want to fumble with words here, but it just sounds like you guys have progressed quite a bit from the last album in that sense, from a sonic sound point.
Yeah, and I feel that we did. Derek didn't play drums on the previous album,
Okay.
and he played on this album. So I mean, I think that's where the transition kind of. I'm not saying anything negative about the old drummer
Right.
or anything like that, because I think it worked great, But Derek and I have this little thing. I don't even know. We never talked about it. It's just something that we just jive together,
Mm.
and the album that you speak of was recorded right behind us. The
Okay.
whole record was recorded right here in this basement.
Okay.
Which I recorded everything, and then I sent it out to Sanford in Chicago, and he mixed it, and then it got mastered in Chicago at Boiler Room and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think it turned out good too. But yeah, it wasn't a huge budget deal. It was literally recorded right here in this basement.
Yeah.
I think one of the benefits of we had a lot of time because we had member changes, and so we took our time. I mean, this record's been 2 years in the making, at least. So having that kind of time for a record, you can really hone in on making it clear and mixing it down to the absolute pinpoint of every hit or note, and that's not the case with every record.
Okay. And I always ask this to bands that self-produce their own music, how difficult is it to be objective with what you're recording, with knowing that you want it to be a certain quality, but sometimes there are bands that that record their own music and release it, and you kind of feel, they should have worked with somebody else because there are certain songs that maybe just didn't fit the vibe of the rest of the album, or maybe it just didn't sound as good as previous albums. But again, I think with this album, sounds great to me, but getting back to the production side of it, how hard is it for you to remain objective with your own music?
It's not hard at all, really, because I think at the end of the day, personally speaking, I'm not trying to make music for the masses here. I'm making music for myself.
Okay,
And if people love it, that's a huge bonus, you
gotcha.
know. But that's not the reason. That's not why I make these records. That's not why we record this stuff. We're making this music for us. We're
Mhm,
making music that we enjoy to hear and we enjoy playing. And um and I think that plays a huge role into it, because we don't have to be so objective. We can
okay,
we can do whatever we want because we're releasing our own music, we're writing our own songs, we're going to do it the way we want to do it. And as far as the production, it's kind of always been a thing since, I don't ever claim this to be my band, but I
mhm,
formed the band, but I can't do it alone, so it's not my band, it's our band. But it's always been a thing in my head, is every time I do something, it's got to somewhat outdo the previous thing,
mhm,
whether it's the quality of the recording, the quality of the songwriting, whatever it may be. I don't want to go, I don't want to ever take any steps backwards.
right,
I'm trying to step forward here.
yeah,
So there's just some sort of mindset that's, I got to kind of outdo the last thing we did, or something to that extent,
yeah,
however you would say.
yeah. You're trying to outdo yourself, actually. You're not looking to compete with anyone else. You're just trying to uh, get
We're
to
just
another.
trying to do what we do to the best of our ability, and
There
we
you go.
want to grow as artists and songwriters and musicians and performers and everything like that. So.
Perfect. All right. Being that you guys are a band from Ohio, um, obviously there are different cities in Ohio. You guys are from Akron, which I mentioned before. There's Cleveland, there's Cincinnati, are the ones that most people would probably know. Um, is there a noticeable difference throughout the state with the actual music scene? Is there a different parts of the state that are more receptive to your music, or is it pretty much the same everywhere?
uh it's pretty much the same everywhere, with exceptions. It seems like the further south we go, the better we do,
Okay.
especially in Appalachia,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Appalachian area. Um, yeah, it's just the further south we go, and that's out of Ohio. But
Mhm,
I- it's kind of hard to say at our level. We're still building a fan base. We're still working into that. So the majority of our shows are pretty small and you know not well attended or whatnot. So I mean, that just is what it is.
mhm.
We're working into building a fan base. So um, playing in Akron, I mean, I've been playing around here for 30 years almost. Almost 30 years, not quite, but so there's people that'll come out regardless of what band I'm playing in, and
Mhm.
Carly's been in a bunch of bands, and people come out regardless of what band she's playing in. Um, Columbus is pretty cool city. Columbus is a very supportive of underground metal, that community down there. So people um, actively go out and support shows. So other places are it just depends on who's on the bill and what day of the week it is and where,
Mm.
what venue, and what, you know, you got Akron, Cleveland, Youngstown, Columbus, Cincinnati.
Mm.
Now Toledo also has a
Right.
venue doing stuff. So I mean that covers like the whole state. And Ohio's a pretty big state, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a uh, we're we're in that threshold right now where it's really hard to say.
I
Okay.
think no matter where we play though, and whatever, no matter what attendance is, there's always a good portion or percentage of people there that are with what we're doing and really enjoy our stage presence and our songwriting. Especially, we always get comments on, especially from people who have heard the old stuff. We get a lot of high fives and handshakes over the new material. So I think receptiveness wise, we're doing pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, and it was interesting that you brought up uh, the whole thing with Appalachia. There are a lot of bands that I've interviewed from the Midwest that talk about how, Indiana isn't that far off, or Kentucky or whatever. They're with the bordering states that they're able to tour, even though maybe they don't tour within their home state as much. They're able to go down through certain spots of the states that they are able to tour and get a decent turnout. So that's kind of cool to hear that you guys, even outside of the state, you guys are getting recognition and people are hearing you guys. And I mean, I'm just saying the state, but hopefully people are checking out the singles that you guys have released so far throughout the entire country and hopefully throughout the world.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, we've toured quite a bit as a band. Like we've never journeyed out west and stuff, and there's still places that we haven't done. But but we've done Appalachia quite a bit, and I can honestly say that we do better out of the state of Ohio than we
Okay.
do in the state of Ohio. Our hometown, it's like hit or miss. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we know we can go to Atlanta, and every time it's going to be killer. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Versus
Awesome.
up here, it's it's just hit or miss. It depends on the venue, depends on the other bands on the bill, it depends
Mhm.
on all the stuff. Whether you can get people to come out of their house or not.
Right. You guys are doing some shows around the time that this interview will come out. You guys are opening up for some pretty well-known bands. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Thursday, this coming Thursday, the 12th of what month? February, March. Where we're at, yeah. We're playing the 12th at the Grog Shop in Cleveland with the Obsessed, and some cool local bands. The Great Iron Snake. They're like basically it's Red Giant minus one dude.
Oh, okay.
Great stoner rock, ripping stoner rock band. They're good friends, and it's gonna be a good time. And so that's at the Grog Shop Thursday with the Obsessed, and then Friday we play the Cleveland Agora with Acid Bath, Midnight, Amigo the Devil, and Nunslaughter. And we've really been looking forward to this show. It's gonna be quite a spectacle, I'm sure. One would just assume a lineup like that is, and we're excluding ourselves, like just looking at it just from the outside, just those bands, it's quite a quite a quite a deal, So
Yeah. Good bill to be on.
yeah.
Cool. So where can people go to pick up Subterfuge when it comes out and ensure that the most amount of money gets back in the band's pockets?
Bandcamp. Our Bandcamp or Third House Communications Bandcamp.
Okay.
Everything comes straight from us or straight from Louisville, and that's it. We're still working out some distribution deals with some other indie labels and stuff, but that's not solidified or anything yet. So until something like that does occur, yeah, the Radian Akron Bandcamp or the Third House Communications, either or.
Okay. Cool. And where should people go to keep up with the band?
Our social media, like Instagram and Facebook, our primary platform is Instagram, but we're active on both.
Okay, cool. I do want to appreciate you guys for the time that you've spent with me today talking about the band and the album. I do apologize again for making you guys wait,
Oh,
but
no worries.
All good, man.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, man.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, you're like what, 8 hours difference of time or something? Six. I
As
don't know
of
where
r-
in Europe.
yeah, I'm in Spain. So
Oh.
with you guys switching the clocks, it's 5 hours right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful Spain. We're at in Spain.
Beautiful rainy northern coast of Spain.
Nice.
Our weather is very similar to like the UK and like the Pacific Northwest in the States. So
Gotcha.
it is rainy as hell this year specifically. It has been very rainy. So a lot
Gotcha.
of flooding and a lot of weather related issues. Leave it at that.
Yeah, it's happening everywhere, man. It's happening
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, my folks are back in New Jersey and they're getting hammered with snow. So I'm sure
Yeah.
all of that's come through Ohio as well.
Yeah, well, one day it's 3 feet of snow, the next day it's 70 degrees, then it's 3 feet of snow,
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah, we get for example, today it was supposed to rain all day. It poured rain in the morning, sun came out, started getting hot, and then it started sleeting and pouring rain all afternoon. So
Oh, yeah. There you go.
we get all that lovely stuff.
Right on, man. Well, we appreciate your time. Thanks for having us, and hope to catch up with you sometime sooner than later.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
All right. Later, man. Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the Signals from Mars live stream. You can watch the show live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, or check out replays on YouTube. Go to signalsfrommars.com for more information. This concludes our show.